Health and Wellness podcast for another episode. This week, we have a guest expert. But for those of you who are new listeners to the Creating Wealth and Wellness podcast, this is a podcast in which we take you on a journey where freedom is cultivated through personal development, where women connect to fuel their futures, and where wealth is created as a byproduct of being well. And that's where our guest expert today is going to come in. So today I am with Erica Ballard. Tara is off for the week. She's actually traveling. How very exciting. Erica Ballard, she is a healthy living expert and coach. And she believes that better food leads to a better life. Ding, 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 ding. And she's on a mission to show people that they can live healthy despite their busy lives. So how perfect is that for our listeners? I think we have a lot of busy moms and a lot of busy entrepreneurs. So welcome, Erica.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and to chat with you about all of the things.
All of the things. We probably won't get to all of the things.
Okay. To many of the things.
Let's get to some of the juicy ones. Okay, so Erica, I want to know personally and for our listeners, because we are just getting to know each other. Eric and I have an amazing summit coming up. It's actually not until November, so we will post a link in the show notes. We will be blasting it all over the place pretty soon, but it is an incredible summit, all day long summit for women in terms, and the focus is really on balancing health, wealth, love, creativity, community. And so Erica is our health expert. So I want to know, where did your passion for health and nutrition evolve from? Like, we all want to know how you started, how you got here, what led you here.
Sure. And it's a good question, because I think a lot of the times when you do whatever work you do, you're there because you had baggage in the area, right? So like I do the work that I need. So I have always been interested in health, like always. I actually studied to be like a personal trainer at like 22 and just was always in the books and the weeds learning about this stuff. But here's what happened is I was really into it and I thought I was doing all the things, but I didn't look or feel the way I wanted to, right? And I was in public health and healthcare. I was working in that space and I was just like, I'm following the freaking guidelines. Like I'm working out all the time. I'm drinking like the shakes and I'm eating the bars. And like, I look a way that I don't want to, and I don't feel great. I actually kind of feel crazy. And so
I'm sure no one listening can relate to that.
Right. Yeah. And like, and I'm sure no one can relate to this piece either, but I just kept doing the things. Like I just kept.
Right. Cause you're like, they're telling me to, if I just drink one more shake.
Yes. And it's like, I was there and I kept doing it. And then I was reinforced by the career that I had at that time. And at some point you kind of break, right? Where you're just like, you know, I've Googled a little bit, like I've gotten on the computer and I'm seeing that there's an alternative way, even though all the dogma is saying this. And so for me, like I went to grad school at Tufts Medical. And so it was, I mean, this stuff is like enforced. And then this thing called like the Institute for Integrative Nutrition started following me around on top of like Marianne Williamson and all these things, right? They like start like following you around. You're like, self-development. Oh, nutrition. Oh, all right. I'll dive into the things. And so I did. And when I did that, like one, it wasn't easy to do. Just like I said, I went to grad school. So I had debt and I was like, I don't really want to clear up my savings for this Institute for Integrative Nutrition piece. But like, I'm sure you felt this in your listeners where you're like pulled to do something, like you just have to do it. And I was like, screw it. I'm going to do it. And just head down, let's go. And I did it. And I learned things that I couldn't unlearn.
Oh, I love that. I learned things I couldn't unlearn.
Yeah. And so when I did that, it was like, when I started to learn that like food is more than calories, fat, fiber, when I started to learn that like what you eat affects everything you do and what you do affects everything you eat. And that like an apple isn't an apple, like an apple isn't an apple isn't an apple. And all of these things, right? I had to do something. That being said, I didn't do something immediately, right? Because in the daytime, like I worked in corporate wellness and like, so in the morning I was like, eat lean chicken, eat broccoli. And then at night I would be learning that like, no, that's terrible. Like not a terrible idea, but like our guidelines.
Right. That's not going to really do it.
That's not really going to do it, particularly and it's not going to do it for everybody, right? Because we all have different constitutions, different bodies. And then like in the morning, I would be like shucking statins. And then in the evening, I would be like, oh, sometimes high cholesterol is an indicator of, off balance hormones. So it's like, so I'm jumping back and forth. And then I lost it. Like at one point I call it my breakfast table moment. I crying, like yelling, out of body experience. And I was like, you have to do something about this. You have to. And so I left my corporate job, healthcare, public health, that I'd been in for 10 years and opened this thing. Right.
Wow.
And I have no regrets because I see the value of it because I did it myself, even with all the swirls and all the craziness and all of that feeling. In 6 months, physically, I changed my whole body in like a year span, a year and a half. Like I changed my whole life. So I was like, okay, got it. Got the cue. Got it.
Right.
So,
and it would have been hard, I imagine, to really go all in even on yourself if you're like still your professional world is still not fully on board. You're like just yourself, like feeling pulled between the two. You had to go all in to break free.
Yeah. And I say often that like food is frequency. So like,
I've actually never heard that food is frequency.
Oh, well, there
it's
you
probably
go.
like a thing in the health world that I just haven't stumbled.
No, I've never heard anyone say it before either, but I think it's true.
I love it. Go you.
Yeah.
I was like my new, I'm going to like put that in my refrigerator.
But it's so true. Right. And it's like, once you start to eat clearer, and I know we've talked about this, you get you can't not listen to the calls because your channel is clear. There is no fuzz. Right. And I was like, oh no, here it comes. And then it did. And I wake up, like I tell people, I love what I do because I love food, but I'm not obsessed with it. And that's what I want to teach people.
I love food, but I'm not obsessed with it. That's awesome. So what I wanted to ask you now, I have two questions that I'm curious about. One is like, well, first of all, how long have you been on this new path from corporate? How long have you been on the new path?
Probably total, I should, like about a year and a half.
Okay. And where do you see it evolving for yourself? Like, where do you see it going? How do you see, because let's be honest, there's about a gazillion and one INN graduates. You're different though. I know that you are in my heart and my soul. And like, we will share later ways for you all listeners to follow Erica because she is different. But I want to know, and if we have INN graduates listening or other health coaches listening, like, where do you see your path really stepping out and being different? Like, how do you see it evolving?
Oh, that's such a good question. So I want my answer to be as good as the question. All right. So when I started this path, I was like, here's what to eat and what to bring to the barbecue. And I was like creating recipes, right? Like shit I hate. Like I don't make like gourmet meals because I'm busy. Like if I had 2 hours to make a meal every day, I would do it.
Right.
I just don't do it. Like I don't have the time. And so I was doing these things that I thought people wanted. Yeah. And as I started to get into this path, when I started to like listen, get really clear, take the time to figure out what I was really passionate about, that's what I started doing what I'm doing. So for me, I really like working with entrepreneurs and busy working professionals and people in that vein because I believe, right, that food allows you to serve your purpose because you need the energy, you need the stamina, you need that clarity of mind.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't hear a lot of people talking about that. Or if I do,
no. Or food allows you to be a good mother. Food allows you to be a good community service member of your community. Food allows you to be a good partner.
I mean, all of the things. And so for me too, is like a lot of people that I was hearing say this were men. And I'm like I love men, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, you all know that we run the house. You all know the stuff that we do. And I was like, it's time for us to take another way to take back our power. Right. And so I was scared of that message for a really long time because, they talk all about niche, and like in marketing, they talk all about niche, but it's like, it's really scary to go there. And then when I started to say the things that I actually wanted to, people responded, and some people didn't. And I was like, boom, I'm here. I'm there. So,
this is just yesterday. So I was words. My oldest is a teenager now. She's almost 14. And so for the first 6 years of my parenting, I was all in stay-at-home mom. Like, it's basically all I did. Then I sort of moved into starting a business. Then I moved into the more online entrepreneurial world. And the amount of time I spend in the kitchen has drastically reduced along that journey. But just yesterday, 2 of my kids had big kind of field trippy days today, and so I spent 3 hours in the kitchen making salads, and I was making tomato dill soup, and but I was literally thinking, I used to do this every day. I would spend hours in the kitchen. It was all I did. And I was noticing how little I do that anymore because I'm too busy. I can't stand in the kitchen for 3 hours.
Girl.
So I am your target market.
Well, here's what I think, if I can be so blunt, is that people will use the excuse that I have to spend 3 hours in the kitchen to be healthy.
Yeah.
And you don't. So, I mean,
right.
Looking at you, talking with you, I know you're a healthy person. Could you be healthier? Probably, because all of us could be, right?
Well, for me, it's I either have to spend 3 hours in the kitchen or I have to spend a lot of money. That's my 2 stories that I tell myself. To be healthy, I either have to spend a lot of money buying what's already someone else has already done, or I have to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. So that middle ground is the happy place for me. How do we get rid of those 2 stories?
Well, I love one that you said that they're stories, right? So we know that they're not necessarily true. So that's the beauty of it, is those things can be true if you want them to be true, but they don't have to be.
Right.
And I think the other piece that's big is stop going on these recipe blogs that have take you 60, 90 minutes to do it. Stop looking at these people's beautiful,
right.
What they do for a living. It's supposed to be beautiful.
Yeah.
But the thing is that when you look at my house, it's one, also just for the money piece, I got to say it, is you pay now or you pay later.
Right.
So
it's so true.
You can buy the broccoli that costs $3, or the broccoli that costs, $1.59. But I'm telling you that heart disease, I'm telling you those statins, I'm telling you those things are going to cost you not just money, but time. Time you want to spend with your family, time you want to spend living your best life. Yeah. But also pick easier things to make, people. Avocado toast is trendy. You know what? And it's not only trendy, it's healthy and quick. So,
but that's one of my daughter's favorite breakfasts. And it's so true. So you get to be all those things in one breakfast. Trendy, quick, and healthy.
Yes. Perfect.
It's every mother and teen's dream.
I think too, the other just tip that I recommend with people is there's certain restaurants, right, that we know that we like that are healthy and to go. Usually there are some place where it's it is affordable, or you know what to do in order to make that happen. I pick I can actually name 3 restaurants and 3 meals that I always get. I know they're going to cost under $9. I know that they're going to fuel me. I know that I'm going to feel good about it. And that's what I buy. So I'm okay, 3 carrots, kale salad with steamed tofu. Perfect. It's a joke. They're oh, Erica, is this what you want? I'm
yeah.
It is. Thank you. I'll be there. And I do rotate them.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. I love that message, right? And people say that about clothing too. Some of the people I admire are I buy my clothes from one store. Mm-hmm. I don't shop the whole mall. Keep it simple.
Yes.
So find your places that serve what you want and keep it simple. Find your recipes that get you what you need and keep it simple. Eat your avocado toast 3 times a week and keep it simple. I love that. Okay, so my other question about evolving. Oh my gosh, my house is so loud today. The phone's ringing. There's chainsaws outside.
This is the life of an entrepreneur mom, right? A mompreneur, I believe is the phrase.
So how do you see the evolution of culture? Like, how the heck do we make this change so that the message you are sharing is becoming more mainstream? I mean, it's crazy out there.
Your face is 100%, like, I just wish people could see your face.
I know, right?
So, the thing that comes through when you say that is like, be okay being weird. Like,
no, I get that. My question is like, how does the culture evolve?
Right. And so
more people are okay being weird.
Yeah. So,
okay, got it.
Because here's what it is, right? So like, we're not going to be able to shift the government and marketing all that right away. Yeah. But if collectively we're okay asking for what we want, and that's what I mean by being weird, asking for what we want.
Right. Okay.
We can do it, because the people you look up to, right, they're quote unquote different, even though we are all the same, right? They're just willing to lean into what they want and to be weird in that regard. So they ask for it. And when you ask for it, those things come, and it goes not just like in your own family, but it also becomes your community, right? And so you see, I live, the neighborhood I live in, we really want a grocery store. It's coming. It's literally, they put a Whole Foods 5 minutes away. We didn't have one. And everyone asked for it. We need a healthy grocery store. We need a healthy grocery store. We need a healthy grocery store. And everyone got louder and louder and louder. And then we got one. And it's like these type of things, like if we're willing to do that and to question, because all of us are like not willing to do that, or we're not willing to ask for what we want. When I go to a restaurant, I think that I liberate people.
Because they think.
Because I ask for whatever I want.
Good.
So the menus shift then, because if people are coming in asking for different things, the menu will shift. So stop thinking that like you have to be normal and you have to be polite and you have to be be weird, ask for what you want. And I think that starts to shift the social collective.
Right. Focus on you.
Well, and by doing that, right?
Yes, exactly.
You are impacted, because you don't know, like quote unquote, you don't know this, but people are waiting. Like they need direction. They need to see someone do something that they want to do. And when they see you do it, it empowers them to do it. Yeah. And that way you can have the trickle down effect, because we have to start being more authentic and true to what we want and what we need if everything else is going to catch up.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the message we want to teach our kids too. Mm-hmm. So how do you meet clients where they're at, right? I mean, you must have people come into you from all different backgrounds and cupboards and, fast food stops. So how do you, as a health coach, meet people where they're at? Like, what's your first step?
The first step is
where you at?
Yeah. Well, it's to listen. I mean, when you go to the doctor's office, and look, I'm not against modern medicine, but like oftentimes you go to the doctor's office and you have 10 minutes and they decided what they're going to talk to you before you go through the door.
Yeah.
It's just what they're taught. Right. And when a 20-year-old is taught to do that, that's what they do for the rest of their life. And so I listen, because no one listens. Everyone, like I said this to someone once, people so badly want you healed that they forget that you do the healing.
Whoa, tweet that. I don't tweet, but you Twitter people can
you Twitter people. Yeah, I don't tweet either. But that's why I listen, because innately people kind of know their first steps.
Wow.
They just want me to tell them you can do it or help them tweak the path there. So starting there, just listening is huge. And I think it's also really beneficial for the person, because when oftentimes if you come to someone with a problem, whether it's food or anything related, they want to solve it. Sometimes we just want to talk it out to get the solution ourselves.
Yeah.
But we're not given that often.
That's amazing. And when you do that, you're allowing them to, slow down enough and go, wait, how did Erica do that? Maybe I could just listen to myself now that she's not in the room with me. Yeah, it's just like you're modeling that. So tell me, do you have any favorite success stories? Like Like, do you have any favorite stories that you can share without, confidentially share that would inspire some people? Okay, and most of our audience are mostly women entrepreneurs, a lot of mamapreneurs, and then a lot of moms who are just like, how do we do this life thing?
Yeah. So there's two that come up. The first one I love, this person didn't sleep a lot. It's a he, but he like recognizing that. Yeah, but he didn't sleep a lot. He was like constantly spinning his wheels, and he runs like his own firm, makes a lot of money, blah 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 blah, right? But he's constantly spinning his wheels, works out all the time, can't sleep, can't figure any of this stuff out. And as we started to work together, right, he started to change his diet and became hungrier. So he's eating more food and getting stronger and losing weight, which is like, I love that because people are like, but if you
eating more food, getting stronger, losing weight.
Yes.
Wow.
Ding, 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 that's the thing. So he was doing all of those things. And for me, I loved it because he was then starting to think differently. He was starting to slow down, and he started to sleep. Like he was sleeping 4 hours a night, and in less than 2 months, he was sleeping 6 to 7 hours.
Wow.
It's huge. And it was it was diet changes and then self-reflection, right? So that was a big one. The other one, and she's just coming to top of mind right now, is she was a little crazy. Cause like I'm a little crazy,
good,
right?
you're
Like,
a little crazy.
Yeah. Cause anytime everyone's like, I'm crazy, I'm like, psychopath, start it. Like, let's go. And so
bring it.
Yeah, she didn't know how to even get in the kitchen and start cooking. She was like, I don't even know how to grocery shop. I don't know where to start. Like I get in here, I get overwhelmed. And within less than 3 months, she found cooking to be therapeutic, which I was like, that's huge. Wanted to try new recipes, and went from spending like $300, $400 plus on going out to spending like $260 on food, like on eating at home, and actually enjoyed the process as much, like not even as much, more than going out to eat, because she was fueling her body, she was sleeping better, she was getting the meditation, the clear-headedness that she wanted. So she was able to shift everything from her stories around food to her belief around what she looked like and what she was doing, to also like write her budget. Like she was able to do that piece. So those are two top of mind.
I love those two stories. Those are awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to know what you would say to a mom who maybe did have a fairly decent health scene, picture, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
Then she had kids. And she slipped into the world of goldfish crackers and Annie's Mac and lost sight through the how does she start to change her habits?
So the place that I recommend starting is if I ask the question, what's the one thing you can do to improve your health? By the way, this is what I always ask, right? What is the one thing you can do to improve your health?
You ask your
clients that.
Okay.
An answer pops up. Almost all of us can think. When I said that, I guarantee you thought something, I thought something, and the people listening thought something. Do that thing. Start there. And don't do anything.
Good advice.
Yeah, don't do anything else, right? Like, because
drink more water was my answer as I take a sip. So good. So Erica, we got cut off, I think, from my internet just after you said the most brilliant thing. So I'm going to assume it was your genius that came in and like interrupted the energy.
Totally. It had to be.
So you said you ask your clients or people you're working with, what's the one thing you need to do to improve your health? Start there. Mm-hmm. It's like, and that just comes back down, for me, it comes back down to slow down, take a deep breath. You know what to do. I'm going to help you because I'm your health coach, but let's start there. Yeah. It's just so brilliant.
Well, thanks, girl. But it's like one of those, like, it's one of those things. What is that like old phrase? Like, how do you eat an elephant? Like one bite at a time.
Right.
So
Brilliant.
I think as like moms and entrepreneurs and all that, like we're like, oh, we have to do all the things or everything will fall and da 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 da. And it's like, like take a beat. You got this far doing exactly what you did. So you're okay. But you want to improve a little bit. So let's just go one step at a time, because here's what happens with everybody who gets healthy. All of a sudden, one day, you turn around, like you end up picking like the avocado toast when you're at like this, you know, like at a brunch place, and you're like, I'm healthy. I'm healthy. Like,
I didn't just load up my waffles with whipped cream and Aunt Jemima.
yes. Like you just look back one day, or like you're like, oh, this is who I want. Like this is who I always was, and now I'm doing it, and it's such a beautiful thing. It's what happens with myself. It happens with all my clients. Like they just turn, like one day they're like, I'm in a Whole Foods buying fruit after landing on a plane for a business trip. What am I doing here? I'm like, you're doing what you want to do, what you said you wanted to do the entire time. So I think starting there and then building, because that's how everything is done. Starting in one place and then moving forward.
I love that. That's so simple. And everyone listening can do that. That can take a moment, slow down, ask themselves that question. Yeah. What's the one thing I need to change to improve my health? Okay, that is so awesome. So we are actually at time, but tell us, I'm sure you'll mention it. My favorite place to follow you is Instagram, because I love your Instagram stories. Love, 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 love them. So tell us where else we can follow you, learn from you, and then we will make sure everyone has the link to join both of us and Tara at the amazing summit in November. So where can we find you?
Sure. So like definitely Instagram, hang out there. If you send me messages, I'll be there. I take a lot of pictures of what I'm doing and with my dog and all the things. And I sing terribly on it as well from time to time. I also have a podcast called The Full Plate Podcast. So it's all about, yeah, I love it. It's you know, like you're so good at this. Like this is like podcasts are fun. And it's fun. It's all about how to fill your plate. It's very health focused and how to fill your plate up with things you love. That's why it's called The Full Plate. So talk with a lot of guests there. You can also find me like on my website, like ericaballardhealth.com. That's where I hang out and play. And then you can come meet me and you on November 3rd. I can't wait. I literally am so excited about it. So yeah, that's where I hang out the most.
It's going to be so fun. Please, please, please join us at the Spirited Growth Summit. There will be so many ways for you to get in on that action and get your ticket at the early bird price.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Especially, this is the first time I think we are almost 40 episodes in, and I've never had a podcast interruption. So you are my first.
Yay.
Yay. But I am going to figure out how to make it work, because that's what we do. That's what we entrepreneurs do. And there was way too much goodness to give up on. So we are going to splice these recordings together and make magic for our listeners. And I can't thank you enough for being here and being patient and flexible. And I cannot wait to give you a hug.
Oh, I can't wait to give you a hug either. And thank you for having me on, for just being there and present and doing what you're doing, because like the world needs you and they need everyone on listening to this podcast. So, you know,
we need more people sharing their voice, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. Have an awesome day, and I will see you soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.